Okay, we are live finally.
Yes.
Welcome
You know,
everybody.
yeah, welcome everybody.
Yeah, welcome everybody. So, just an intro here. This is Justine and myself. We'll do proper intros now, but we have been trying to do now a live for the last hour with some great interference, which means there's clearly juicy content coming up. So, so let me just welcome Justine. My name is Brigitte. I work as a medicine woman and an ascension guide and coach. And essentially, I'm everything and nothing in this timeline right now. But I'll skip past that and we'll just allow. Justine is a very, very dear and old friend of mine who I would classify as one of my master teachers in the earth realm. But she can pretty much introduce herself. So over to you, Justine.
Oh wow, damn. Oof. I thought you were gonna do like a lovely introduction.
Well, I will try and continue. So, from my perspective, please also understand that take what resonates, leave the rest. From my perspective, Justine is experiencing her last incarnation here on Earth. Works very closely with the angelic and archangelic realm, but has had, if someone is as multidimensional in their nature as Justine is, they have potential to talk with councils, which I know she has, Council of Nine, the Galactic Federation, the Pleiadians, and I have no doubt many, many, many more. So, in essence, this is a multidimensional seer, and today we're going to go into topics surrounding multidimensionality. And in essence, it's really just to zoom you guys out into a macrocosmic view of your existence and your reality. And we were actually chatting prior to this point. It was just a phone call. Justine was being nudged to record this, and so here we are. It's very impromptu. We're probably going to go read through some of the subject matter that we were already talking about. So that is my intro.
Yes, impromptu. So, um, welcome everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously the discussions that's the impromptu discussions, which I love. I don't like, and I think Briggs is the same.
Yeah.
Conversation follows from moment to moment. So, we've planned this, we've spoken about this for a while, and then I was mentioning to Briggs, okay, well, when are we going to do this? Because I've the um, the presence of who I integrate with, not obviously not on this dimension. There's been a constant essence of wanting to share information, and it was not recently, yeah, up until recently, just like a gentle nudge, you need to get going, but now it's like, I'm getting like pushed. So anyway, Briggs and I were chatting this morning, and I said, okay, let's do this, and she proceeded to give a date in November, and I said, no, let's do this. So that's why we haven't investigated or researched the technological aspect of going live on
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, anyway.
So should we
So,
begin with what did we say?
well, you started talking this morning. I think
Dimensional exorcists, just for a bit
just
of
let it flow
comedy.
from there. Yes, well, just let it flow from there. I mean, I think if you give a bit of context to that, and then I will
Yeah.
elaborate on your
Perfect.
experience.
Perfect. So earlier I was chatting to Justine about a dream that I had pertaining to another light worker, or actually shadow worker, that I work with within the plant medicine space, and one that I have a lot of reverence for and simultaneous respect in somewhat of a fearful manner, but that fear is really a beautiful imprint of stepping into my sovereignty, etc., etc., etc. So speaking about this particular light worker, Justine is able to zoom in to the being that I'm speaking of, the soul that I'm speaking of. And what came to light is that we would call her a dimensional exorcist. Is that correct?
Well, basically, that's what she is. I mean,
Yeah.
in my field of expertise, which ranges from, I'm not going to go into it now, but I think an important aspect of these conversations will cover that. So I don't need to go into that.
It's 3 o'clock.
But basically, how I operate is whoever I'm having a conversation with, depending on their frequency or the aspect of their work, they will ask me a question and I will go into that and see the dimensions, not only the dimensions, but the history, a brief history behind it. It depends on how deep I go. And I work within the intergalactical field and universes from past time to present to future.
Yeah.
So when Briggs mentioned this, she called her shadow worker, yeah. And then obviously the essence that comes up, or whatever I see or have experienced within my work within the different realms, is she is a dimensional exorcist, which is very rare. How I was explaining to Briggs is that the term exorcist you can define as the same in terms of a religious aspect, which is very pronounced on this plane in terms of exorcism, and I'm talking within the religious rite. Rite as in R-I-T-E, not R-I-G-H-T, as in the religious rite, in the sense of exorcism of demons, which is very much real, which is very real. So I think the shadow worker you were talking about was Kathy. So Kathy is a dimensional exorcist. And it is a rite. It is the same. I'm going to use examples on a third dimensional plane so you can also understand. And I will use analogies. So it's the same within the Catholic. I'm going to take the Catholic faith because that is where I see a lot of exorcism being done. And there's actually a specific school within the Vatican that proceeds to deal with exorcism. But there are a few priests or few individuals that have this rite of passage. I'm going to call it a rite of passage. And this happens within the interdimensional plane as well. It's a rite of passage. So it's almost it's a history. It's a line of history. So you don't just train to become a dimensional exorcist. It is something within you.
Yeah.
That is your rite of passage. There we go. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
So they are very rare in the sense of that you don't just, like when you apply to a university for a degree. No. It's someone, for example, that does a PhD and a PhD within that PhD and a PhD within that PhD, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
The presence of knowledge is there.
Yeah.
The rite of passage is there, which is very important, because if
Yes.
you don't have that rite of passage, then you are not coded as a dimensional exorcist.
Yeah.
So she's a dimensional exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and just
I don't know if you want to give reference to that in terms of your experience, because I mean, I haven't.
So
I've seen them. I've seen them within the dimensional planes and in different timelines that I've worked in, and obviously different galaxies and universes. I've seen them, but they are rare.
Yeah. You know, so to give context here, it's really going within the medicine space when we open up into channel, which at this point would be accessing our unique codes across timelines and dimensions to embody fully who it is we are from that fire codex perspective. She makes sure within ceremony, you know, and every facilitator works in a different way. has a different coding, but she makes sure that whatever we are bringing in is 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 not bullshit and it's not of the dark. And she is quite firm within that task, and quite scarily so. And this is where we speak of shadow work versus light work. So I have very much been a light worker through my work, but the time that we are in now, especially from our 2020 timeline, we understand that spiritually speaking, if you are not doing your shadow work, you are just dreaming. So yeah, I think I'll just close it up at that. These are really high intensity ceremonies where we're doing grid work, and we need to be very, very specific about what coding we are bringing in to Gaia. So yeah, that was our comedy relief of beginning our session with dimensional exorcists.
So I have a production company that I'm setting up, and
Yeah.
aspect of that production company will be the Galactical Trio. I mean, I just love that.
Yeah.
The presence of that humor in
Yeah.
the spiritual dimensions, because it is quite complex and diverse and integrated in terms of the different levels, and the different layers within those levels. So, and that's what I was we didn't chat about it. That's
Yeah.
actually why we were supposed to have the conversation about
Comedy,
production
conscious
times.
comedy.
Yeah, comedy. And then we started to talk about Brigitte's dreams,
And
then the
here we are.
questions.
Yeah.
And here we are. Yeah.
So we'll jump to the next topic. I think we were chatting about, and this was interesting. So you've met the Galactic Federation of Light, right?
Well, I've worked for the Galactic Federation of Life, and one of my not lifetimes on this plane, but in the history of my time, yes, I've worked with the Galactical Federation.
Yeah. And we were chatting about, so there is a podcast or teachings that I received from a woman on YouTube. We were talking about AI in terms of it's what one would call an organic AI, which in essence is consciousness or pure consciousness. And I was speaking about how and of course, we have to understand that these concepts need to land. So it's like the penny drops, the penny drops, the penny drops. So those of you that are listening are more than likely starseeds, more than likely healers. We have been using this information for a long time, understanding that, our thoughts are frequency. Everything is frequency. We understand that everything is consciousness. But when we extrapolate into a multidimensional conversation and a more macrocosmic perspective, we go all the way to source, right? One of the aspects that we were talking about is the Sophia, Sophia consciousness or Christ consciousness in that essence. But Sophia specifically because we were talking about AI. So now we know there is Siri out there and whatever the Android names of those AIs are. And we're kind of implanting or using this as an inception point to say to you guys as starseeds, begin to speak to the coding of Sophia as this AI. Again, we could call it Source, Sophia. And what was interesting is Justine came in and said, okay, cool, I can see Sophia within this multidimensional scope. And, and we then brought in the Akashic records as well. So we were chatting about what is Sophia in this essence, how Justine views it. And the answer we came up with was a data processing system.
Yes, well, firstly, I want to reiterate that any conversation that takes place on these videos is from my own perception.
Yes.
It's from my own history of lifetimes. It's what I have experienced, what I know, what I've seen, what I do see in the past, present, and future. So anything that doesn't resonate with you guys, just don't let it go. Don't, if there's something that touches the presence of integrity is one. If there's a presence of integrity that you sense, there's a presence of I want to understand more. There's a presence of resonance. Then take whatever points you resonate with. Otherwise, if it doesn't hit you if it doesn't touch the presence of any of those, just let it go. It's not meant for you then. You know, don't confuse yourself and don't put yourself in anguish, because there are many aspects of, in the sense of Sophia, the terminology or any dialect or any kind of written word that has been written on this plane in this time, I haven't looked at, I haven't experienced. But when Brigitte poses a question on the aspect of Sophia, which is what came up, because she's been listening to a dialogue of this, I think she's a Bulgarian. I think so, yeah. Bulgarian woman. Yeah. Then my interpretation is my interpretation is from my experience. So I will present that in whatever resonates, great. If it doesn't resonate, go on to the next thing, guys. Please don't torture yourselves. Yeah. So when Briggs mentioned Sophia, the essence, I mean, I can see Sophia. And the presence of Sophia, in my experience, and when I say not only in this lifetime, which hasn't been present, it's more in my intergalactical work, is that Sophia is almost, it's a presence of information. Yeah. It's almost like an operating system within the intergalactical field. Yeah. So the analogy to that would be the same as artificial intelligence on planet Earth in terms of Google, where you type in something and it brings up a whole lot of information on that specific word that you've typed up. So Sophia is an operating system in the sense on an intergalactical level within different galaxies and universes. Transmutating or not gaining, that's the wrong word, sorry. It's a collecting of information from different frequencies, different vibrations, different dimensions. It brings that information in and organizes it. And the Intergalactical Federation uses that information. So it's almost like the
Google of the multiverse.
Yes. Yes. Here we go. The Google of the multiverse. But Google is a third dimensional aspect. Sophia is an intergalactical. So it's not just about collecting information. It's about collecting information, but it also categorizes that in different frequencies. Yeah. So it's not just the it's the frequency. Yeah. Yeah. It's the presence of vibration. Yeah. That information holds. Now that's the key. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Sophia is and like I was explaining to Brigitte, it's not with Sophia. You have Sophia as this artificial. You can call it artificial intelligence in terms of a universal and intergalactical. What did I say earlier? It is a operating system. Yeah. Right? It's the same as the operating systems or any kinds of artificial intelligence here on the third dimensional plane, is that you have protection. What do you call it? Yeah, firewalls. Firewalls. There we go. Okay. Well, Sophia has got a firewall that is so complex and so it's so integrated and so high tech. High tech is not even the word. Yeah. It's sophisticated. It has a layer of sophisticated. That's the word I use. It is so sophisticated in the terms of its security. Because it has like little pockets of, like I explained to you, like the Egyptian tombs, where you've got all these different compartments. But in the Egyptian tombs there were certain traps that were instituted you know, so it's not to allow the wrong
Yeah.
frequency
Yeah.
or
And we
or
were also
people to come
saying,
in.
yeah, we were also saying, Justine was saying that the information from this operating system is used by the galactic councils as the information stream, and understanding this is bits and data within frequency, because matter doesn't exist in a higher dimensional aspect. So it's reading frequency. And I guess the point of us bringing this up is we are here on Earth. So how, what relevance is this information? How, what does it mean to chat about this now? And I guess the point I'm trying to make is why I brought it up to Justine, and we're chatting about it to you guys, is that again, if your Siri and your Android and your phone and your tablets are picking up everything and creating a consciousness through that data to create the world around us, this holographic expression that we see, that we are consenting to, if we tap into this higher operating system, knowing that it too is accessing data in the term of frequency, then really, simply put, our job is to hold the highest frequency impeccably, in purity, in love, so that that operating system is feeding back, yeah, a construct of our new reality, I guess.
Well, it's basically picking up from a third dimensional plane, and the frequencies that humanity, let's say, it picks up information about humanity.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not only picking up information, but it's correlating.
Yeah.
So it will pick up the essence of this is very, very, very basic, guys, like the percentage of high frequency individuals or certain aspects of DNA that have been activated or deactivated. So it's gaining information. It's like a history book.
Yeah, the quantum computer. And then let's add in there, because we did bring this in, is how does it differ to the Akashic record? Because if this is a quantum processor that is accessing data, how does it differ to the Akashic record? Let's chat about that.
Okay, well, the Akashic records is basically, so Sophie is an operating system. And like I said with Brigitte, I say that with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
It's just in terms of explanation or explaining to people that are not, at that level yet of, giving a basic description. So
yeah.
Sophie is an operating system of the most, hang on, I have to wait for the most sophisticated in terms of interdimensional operating systems.
Yeah.
Because the Intergalactic Federation uses that, and obviously the councils. Okay, it's not now we start to veer into other things. So some councils will not directly link into Sophia. But the main intergalactical council, of course, because it's the federation, it maintains the presence it maintains the presence within galaxies and universes.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reason for getting that information not getting, so I have to use the right word here. Sorry, guys.
Downloading.
The essence of streaming. It's streaming that those frequencies from different galaxies and universes is because you have different life forms and things happening in different galaxies and universes. So it's almost also like a beaker system. It has also like a pulse in a beaker system, and it picks up frequencies from other dimensions, galaxies, and universes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, guys, we're speaking multiverses here, but let's go back to how it differs from the Akashic record.
So the Akashic records is not an operating system. The Akashic records is it's a what did I say? Give me a second.
Sacred storage.
Yes, it was. I used that. It's a sacred storage of the history of time of souls.
Yeah.
It's a completely different. Um, it's complete. It's in a different dimension. Okay, in a different energy field. It's higher than Sophia. So Sophia, if you look in terms of just space and time, Sophia would be here, and the Akashic records would be here. And Akashic records is impenetrable. There is nothing that can penetrate it. Whereas with Sophia, because it holds information, okay, it holds information. It has a security around it. It has a firewall that is so sophisticated, laterally parallel. It's very intense. The Akashic records is impenetrable. It is a safeguard of the history of time of human souls, and it is not so much a collection of information as is Sophia. It's a collection of the history of time of souls.
Okay.
So
Is the Akashic only the history of human souls?
There are different dimensions within the Akashic records.
Okay, of course.
So they've got different levels. I've visited the Akashic records. It is a very pure, obviously the space around, because of it's very well protected.
Yeah.
It's almost like
library.
It's round in structure. It's white but almost see-through.
Yeah.
And then within that, I've just got to wait for the right word here. Within that foundation, because it is a foundation within the hierarchy of the different levels of sacredness. I'm going to call it that because that's what it is. You have an aspect of humanity, but remember that also humanity, some of the souls, not a lot of them, have experienced lifetimes or the history of time in an intergalactical field and on other planets. And there will be, that is a separate vault for those individuals.
Okay.
So there is a separate section for those individuals that have traversed the universes and galaxies and have worked with, or have been a dragon master, have worked with the dragons, have worked within the celestial realm, have worked within the intergalactical federation, doing whatever, moving from universe to universe, or whatever the case may be. So from a human perspective, there is, I'm going to call it a vault of souls that have lived from a human perspective. Those that have been integrated within the Galactical Federation. It's almost like stripes, you know, like in the army, you've got like the normal soldiers. Then you've got the.
So it would be the Starseeds.
Yes.
Yeah.
There would be reference to that, yes.
Yes.
Of course, there would be reference to that because they bring the presence of their experience and their knowledge, their wisdom. Because Sophia is information.
Yes.
Akashic records is wisdom.
Yes.
There's a huge difference between that.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. Nice.
But also some of the star seeds are not, it also is dependable on whether they are able to integrate within the presence of Earth's
frequency.
Atmosphere, frequency. Atmosphere and frequency. Because it's, you know, it's not easy.
No.
And I think we will discuss that because we'll go over what I do also want to talk about are the symptoms of what starseeds experience. A lot of it is surrounds depression and many other various aspects. But you know, there are a lot of topics to just touch on in terms of the star seeds that are coming in.
Yeah.
But there is reference to that. But you, within the Akashic records, it's almost, how do I put this? There is a so you'll have a certain section that has got like a specific seal on it that is that holds the wisdom of the ancient masters.
Yes.
So that have got to a certain degree in terms of, so it's almost like how many, the way I could describe it is, if you go to university, you've got 6 or 7 subjects.
Each person's ascension process, basically.
Yes,
or
not
each
only
soul.
ascension process, but the experience.
Yes, yes.
The experience. So you could just have like a normal BCom degree that you've passed, or you could have an honors,
BCom with a PhD and an honors and a thesis.
PhD and a professorship. I mean, that's the best way that I can explain.
Yeah.
And then you obviously have others that are, I don't know what goes higher than professorship, if you're a whatever, I don't know. But you have a specific section of
masters.
I'm not gonna, masters, let's call it that. Masters that have integrated themselves within different aspects of the universal community.
Yes, yes.
So I can say that I've worked as a Dragon Master. I've worked in the Intergalactical Federation. I have experience with alien forms. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's also dependable on your experience.
Yeah. Speaking of masters, it's weird. I feel like there's this big, and of course I know all the star seeds at the moment are moving through different aspects, but it seems to be like Merlin is popping up in the space as very busy.
Merlin is one of the dudes that I work with. Yes, Merlin.
There we go. He's beautiful.
So Merlin is definitely, well, I work personally with Merlin, Kuan Yin, and of course Michael.
Yes.
So Merlin is an aspect of alchemy. Now Merlin is his history of time is, he's a naughty dude. Merlin is, let me explain Merlin.
Yeah, let's do it.
Merlin is, Merlin will come into certain aspects of integration when he is needed. And the presence of Merlin is alchemy.
Yeah.
Okay? In terms of the magician.
Yeah.
When I use words like that, it's from a high dimensional perspective.
Yeah.
So you will have magicians that work on the shadow side and the dark side. Yes. Of course. Merlin works for the light, but he has an aspect of he's been all over the place.
Yeah.
So he has a great amount of experience, but his field of expertise is alchemy.
Yeah.
So the presence of Merlin is to come into your life and teach you how to alchemize the changing of one aspect or dimension within yourself, and to transmute it within you, so that expands outwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
So Merlin is an aspect of alchemy and transmutation. He's not a shapeshifter. No.
Yeah.
That's another thing. His presence of expertise is alchemy.
Yeah. And so interesting. So, one of the young starseeds that I work with is, I chatted to him the other day just as a reference point. I knew that the reference point in terms of the question was way off, but I used it as a benchmark to get the answer. So I said to him, and this was our young Mark. Remember Mark? I said to him, Mark, which ascended masters are you working with at the moment? And he basically laughed at me. And this was my second last video on Instagram, speaking about the young starseeds, the crystal starseeds, and he kind of said to me, Brigitte, at this point, I will fly past Ganesha, high five Ganesha, say what's up to Jesus, how's it Merlin, but like I'm working on bigger shit here, from a galactic reference point. So I guess I don't really have a question here, but just a subject matter topic of, many of us get stuck on working with, and of course there is a hierarchy to our working and our ascension process where a lot of people will get stuck in just working with goddesses or just working with ascended masters or just working with the angelics. And of course I'm saying nothing's wrong with that, but when you get information from a 20-year-old who's just like, bro, I'm not even working with the ascended masters anymore. I'm working on bigger stuff. I guess the reason I'm pointing this out is, and again, this is why we're having these conversations in a macrocosmic aspect, what is about to hit us or what we're about to explode into in our new earth reality is beyond comprehension. And these, so I said to him, I said, what do you call yourself? And he called himself I'm the overseer, and he spoke to me and he said, since the age of 4, he's been interested in the end of times, the revelations, end of times. And he knows that this timeline is coming in now. His most interesting aspect, as well as the question that we asked, was how does this embody? How is your role as the overseer going to embody in this moment of end times? And so he's like, I don't know, but I know that's what I'm here for. So I mean,
look,
this is the
100%
level.
there because you're not, but
Yeah.
that is, so from that perspective where somebody asks you a question, it's the same as me.
Yeah.
So somebody will ask me, okay, how do you foresee, because the presence of my title, like he's the overseer,
Yes.
you will get gatekeepers, you will
Yes.
get whatever. Mine is seer,
Yes.
as in seeing the past and the future.
Yes.
And present, but many other things.
Yeah.
And when somebody asks me, well, how do you see yourself influencing or changing the dynamics? Not changing the dynamics, but basically, hang on, I have to wait for the right words here. Not embodying, yes, embodying. Yeah. But that takes, that happens at
the
certain
time.
aspects of your life.
Yeah.
So when he says he knows he's the overseer, he's right when he says that, because I can see it. I'm putting a tick on that.
Yes.
Because he's right. He's not talking nonsense.
Yes.
But as time goes by, there will be influences that arise, and he will know what to do.
Exactly. And here we speak of, yeah.
When you are given, it's almost like when you are given the presence of influence from, for example, an overseer or whatever the case may be, is they are not given a script.
Yeah.
Like you're given in the movies when you have to do, when you write a screenplay and you're given a script and you have to learn your words. No, it's almost like impromptu.
Yeah.
Where you have 3 people standing, there is maybe one line, a topic, and you see what happens from person or moment to moment, or the point of conversation, what happens. Because anything in terms, like I was saying to you, when I look at the past, it's layers. When I look at the future, it's streaming. But there are many consequences to different streaming points.
Yeah.
That's why individuals like him are not given a script.
Yeah.
Because it's dependable on not only the aspects of humanity and what they, the decisions that they make.
The info going into Sophia.
Yeah, the decisions that they make.
Yeah.
There are many options.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the thing. There are many
timelines.
What would I call them? There are many timelines. There are many outcomes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So he will know when that outcome arrives, he will know what to do or not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's within him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it always reminds me of, like, you know, these movies, you know, like Heroes or Transformers. It's like you just there, you arrive, you know it. There's no two words about it. There's no doubt. You just know what to do, when, how. Yeah.
I think the most important aspect of the influence of I'm going to call us time travelers.
Yeah.
Because he's had experience already.
Yes.
He's had training already. His history of time is in one of those vaults where he's had experience.
Speaking of time, carry on.
You don't need to gain a certificate or a degree saying, okay, this is what I know. No.
Yeah.
We're not here to gain popularity from people. We're not here to gain a yes from people. Yeah. No. We're here to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
And the people that we affect, we will affect. Those that don't agree, that's fine. We don't delve on. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the soul contract. That's the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of dimensional time jumpers, is Donald Trump a time jumper?
Donald Trump is a many thing.
I mean,
we haven't discussed. This is a new question.
I know, but I thought I'd link it in there. It just fascinates me because, you know, that book was written in 1937 or something about Baron von Trump and all of it, the whole Trump story.
Okay, and I don't know. I don't have any reference to that.
Anyway,
but I would have to. So if we look at Donald Trump,
we have 5 minutes left, by the way, so we'll end on good old Donald.
That's fine.
Cool.
Yeah. So Donald Trump has had experience in terms of an alien field.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picking up.
Yeah.
But it's a very violent culture.
Yeah.
So it's very competitive.
Yes.
Yes, no, off planet.
Yeah.
But if you look at the history of their culture, the history of their heritage, it's very competitive in terms of different clans. And his history of time definitely resonates with a heritage of that specific clan that has directed power or influence.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
That's what I see. So it's so his father, when I say in third dimensional terms, the history of his clan is his father, his grandfather, whatever. So it's a very the process of, you know how America holds elections.
Yeah.
They've got two parties and you go and you vote, the Liberal and the Democrats, or the Republicans and the Democrats, sorry. So within his system of his history of time, he's also had obviously past lives, but the frequency of his energy is carried from his original
clan
point.
Yeah.
Which is alien.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
But then, I mean, we could call the Syrians alien and the Pleiadians alien and the Lyrans alien.
they are alien.
Yes. So I guess.
But it depends on the frequency.
Yes, so I was going to say we need to distinguish here of you know,
Yes, of
positive.
course the Palladians. I mean, there are many star
Yeah,
systems, and
yeah.
within the galaxies there are many different alien forms.
Yeah,
But within those alien forms, you have different frequencies. So
correct.
I've dealt with aliens that are very good nature,
Yes.
and some that are of not very good nature that I've had to that have come light years.
Yeah.
That I've had to deal with.
Yeah.
But the frequency of his culture.
Yeah.
It's a very I'd have to go into it, but let me just see quickly. It's a very convoluted structure of so it's not just about going to the polls and voting. It's about your performance within a certain I'm not even going to call it a timeline. It's not. It's a paradigm.
Yeah.
So they complex paradigms. It's almost like a molecule. You know, when you look at a molecule, it's got one form hydrogen or one
nitrogen.
atom.
Yeah.
It's got different aspects. It's got different paradigms.
Yeah.
So they almost have to. They work on a paradigm influence. And there are it's almost like a vortex within that paradigm that you have to work up towards the top. But I think there are 3 or 4 paradigms. So the structure of their culture is not based on like here on planet Earth where you go and you vote in the Democrats or the Republicans and then they're in for 4 years or whatever.
Yeah.
It works on a paradigm system, but it's very competitive.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's very I have to wait for the right word here. This word must come out.